Hey, Jim, thank you for being here. We'll go ahead and start our city council meeting for September the 6th, 2023. And again, we're thankful for everyone that's here. We don't generally get this big a crowd, but we'd like to have a crowd like this for a council meeting. And as part of the business, it's 6 o'clock. And again, for September the 6th, 2023. I've asked Ann Moss if she would open this council meeting with prayer. She's volunteered to do that. Ann?
Our dear Heavenly Father in heaven, we come to thee in this Payson City Council meeting with gratitude in our hearts for the freedoms we enjoy and the privilege we have to live in this wonderful city. We ask thee to please bless that we will have civil conversations and be led by what thou wouldst have us do. And we're grateful for those who serve and for those who are willing to take it upon themselves to make hard decisions and be in the public eye for the good of our city. And we're grateful for all that thou hast given us, and we say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, man. Wonderful talk. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a volunteer, Emma Wilson. Is Emma here? Emma, thank you for being here. Emma, if you come up, she's going to lead us in the pledge.
Please repeat the pledge after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue with our council meeting. Going to approval of the August 16th, 2023 city council minutes. Unless there's any discussion by the council, I'm ready for a motion for those minutes.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Okay. Which one? Teresa, she was first. Okay, we have a motion that's been seconded. We'll go with roll call vote, starting with Teresa.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
Yes.
Brett? Yes.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to C, petitions. We're pleased to present a new Payson police officer and having received the oath of office, Chief Bishop.
Here's the, oops. Downstairs, I've got a full house for this one.
Yeah.
We want to introduce our newest officer, Zachary Harvey. Zach comes to us from a few weeks ago, graduated from police academy. He's from born and raised in Pleasant Grove. And
We won't hold that against him.
we won't hold that against him or his family that's here. We love Pleasant Grove too. So anyway, we'd like to welcome him, welcome Judge Jewell up here to perform the oath of office, and we'll go from there.
You have to leave. I, and state your name. I, Zachary Harvey, do solemnly swear or affirm. Do solemnly swear and affirm that I will support, obey, and defend. That I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. The Constitution of the United States of America. The Constitution of the State of Utah. The Constitution of the State of Utah. And the laws and ordinances of Payson City. And the laws and ordinances of Payson City. and that I will discharge
and that I will discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
After you get to the, your, take the day.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yep, and your wife here, you got found in the right.
No, I'm seeing.
Bring him up. There you go. Get him up there. Go on. Go ahead, stay right now.
Yeah.
No, you come up one. What a handsome kid. You ready? 1, 2, 3.
I get one more for the Christmas video, sorry, guys. Just a minute.
Zachary, welcome to Payson City. We appreciate your willingness to come and serve here.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 2. Communities with Care, Mayor Youth Recognition Award. Carl, will you come on up and introduce our new advisor?
Just to take a moment first, Mayor and Council, I'd like to invite Shelby Bowling up, and she's our new employee for our CTC coordinator, or Communities That Care. This is a preventative action in the community to help prevent underage substance abuse, as well as other positive elements in the community. And one of those tonight will be the mayor's recognition. So she's worked for us now just for a few weeks. She just moved here recently from Iowa in the last 2 years. She comes with a background with the United Way Boys and Girls Club branch that she actually started as well, and recently with the Girl Scouts of Utah. And so then she transferred here with us with this job. So we're happy to have her. She jumped right in at Onion Days and coordinated the children's parade and did a great job there. And so we're glad to have her here. We'll turn the time over to her.
I'm gonna give them.
Come on. Go ahead.
All right, so first from Mount Nebo Middle School, we have a Jazzy Orr. Jazzy has been selected for the Mayor's Youth Recognition Award for Mount Nebo Middle School. She was nominated by Mr. Craig, who said Jazzy was one of the first students I met when I transferred to Mount Nebo Middle School. She had a contagious smile and seemed like such a great kid. I was lucky enough to have her in my reading class last year. I always enjoyed when she was chosen to read in front of the class. She had an incredible reading voice with so much expression. Jazzy was hardworking and always did her best. As I have seen her in the hallways with other students, she greets everyone with a smile. Jazzy is very deserving of the Mayor's Youth Award. She's a future leader for sure. Some other teachers also said, Jazzy is a great kid with a great smile. She's fun to have in class because she is enthusiastic about learning. That is not all. I have seen her helping others in class as well as helping with cleanup projects in the community. It's nice to have a Jazzy in the world today.
Jazzy here. Come on up, Jazzy.
Oh.
Come on up.
From Payson Junior High, we have Kaylee Pinto.
Hey, where you at? Come on up.
Kaylee has been selected for the Mayor's Youth Recognition Award for Payson Junior High for her exceptional character and outstanding display of optimism, productivity, effectiveness, and positive behaviors within the school community. Haley's commitment to excellence and dedication to creating a positive atmosphere in the classroom at Payson Junior High has made her an outstanding role model, which is why Kaylee has been nominated and voted for this award by their dedicated teachers. From Payson High School, we have a Jaden Holman.
Congratulations.
Jaden Holman has been selected for the Mayor's Youth Recognition Award for Payson High School. Jaden is a great person and a great student. We are very lucky to have her here at Payson High School. Jaden was incredibly helpful this summer in preparing the school and the student body for this new school year through her work on the student council. She was always willing to help out and was so dependable. She could be trusted with just about any task, and we knew that she would get the job done. Thank you, Jaden, for being such a wonderful example of what it means to be a true Payson Lion.
You do have a gift form that's not here, I guess, left at your office, and it's coming. There
they are.
I'll just do it right now. Wonderful. Ladies, want to move to the middle? Yeah, going here. You're hanging out, or do you have that with you? Why for you? I'm glad I don't have to do that slide anymore. I'll fall too much. I'll keep falling.
Gentlemen, welcome. We look forward to the planning board. Okay, moving on, we're to number 3. We have not been able to meet as a beautification committee to decide the order of the month, so we'll put that off until next week. Cal, is that okay? We'll go ahead and table that. Okay, moving on to number 4, Bay Committee Annual Report. Carrie? Thank you for being here, Carrie.
Thanks for having
And for all your hard work.
Thank you for having me. All of you.
I want to thank Jill, first of all, because she put this PowerPoint together for me today. I know I was off riding my bike. Thanks, Jill. So this is our yearly update with what's been going on, just to kind of keep everyone in the loop. We've been doing our monthly meetings quite consistently, and I'm always impressed that we have such a good turnout for all of our meetings. And I'm not a big fan of meetings, so when we meet, my goal is to be as efficient with our time as possible and keep it to an hour. And we usually keep it pretty close. A lot of times we go a little bit over, but we do a good job staying on task. And I'm really grateful for all those people that give up their time to come, and all the people from the city that come and meet with us. So for each meeting, we typically try and have important agenda items. We've met with Strawberry Water users, backcountry horsemen, talked to them about future equestrian trails and current trail use to try and make us all get along. We met with Elk Ridge City because they would love to be able to have a trail head on their side. So they come to us actually for advice on what to do on their end. National Park Service, we've met with those guys, with Brandon specifically several times, and he's been a great asset to get us to where we are right now. Grants, I think we all know the grants that we've applied for and gotten as far as parking areas, bridges, things like that. And there's more out there. The Utah Office of Outdoor Recreation has been super supportive in trying to promote outdoor recreation, because they realize every community, that's what everybody really wants. A lot of money out there for that. We've got an upcoming meeting with the Boy Scouts of America, and that's in relation to our proximity to the Scout Camp. They bring groups into the Scout Camp, and they spend time over in Bay. And so we have a really pretty good working relationship with those folks right now, and we're going to talk with one of the guys from the main office next meeting. I think it's not ideal next month. So all of our meetings and all these relationships we've built, I think have been really positive, and I love that. We have good relations with everyone around us as far as I know. Okay, we'll talk about maintenance. So maintenance has finally slowed down this year. We had some cows in there this year that helped us a little bit with some of it. That was actually pleasantly, surprisingly helpful. Trail trimming, so lots of trimming is, I think, I made everyone kind of aware of that. That's ongoing, but once the end of summer hits, our actual grasses and things that we finally get done. We've got about 10 miles of trail to trim, which equates to 2 sides of one trail, so that's 20 miles of trail. We've been able to buy a bunch of equipment with park tax funds, tools and things that we need, including a trail bike to make it so that I could get out to these points a lot quicker than walking. That was park tax funded. That was really great. We've had the high school team. I don't think Payson's come out and worked yet. Maybe they have. Carl's still here.
Yeah, we did it in June.
Okay. So the Payson team and the Salem team, we've got 5 teams within the Nebo school district. And with us in Forbay, we're pretty fortunate because we have Salem and Payson that both kind of come and do trail work in Forbay. So that's been really helpful for us. I wanted to just talk about the restroom repairs in the sense of the graffiti and vandalism that kind of happens for whatever random reason I've never understood. But Weston and his crew come up and cleaned the bathrooms and kept them in pretty good working order. And as far as the Forbay bathroom, I know Kiwanis got hammered the other night, but they've been pretty great to come and clean it up. Once it's cleaned up, it seems like we can go a long time without them destroying it again. So I'm just grateful that those guys are so willing to come up and help us with that stuff. So the parking lot is tidy and clean. I know we pick up trash when we're there because we feel like a clean parking lot encourages a clean parking lot. So between the guys coming up and emptying the trashes in the mornings and just staying on top of things, it's pretty great, I would say. Recreation. Oh, so this summer, a couple of months ago, we got a trail counter. So we placed a trail counter out on the trail, and it's just at one location, but it's at one of the entrance points. And we've got 3 entrance points. This is kind of the main entrance point. So it captures, I would say, probably 80%, maybe 75 of the users. But as you can see, since July 10th up till just 3 days ago, 6,479 users, daily average of 114 trips a day. And that again is just the main entrance point. So there's more. I would guess the average probably closer to 130, 155 users a day in Forbay. We did have one super busy day, and that was July 26th. And Jill asked me if it was the 4 hours of Forbay race that we do, and it wasn't. I think what that day was a holiday weekend, but we had one of the high school teams, because our Nebo team isn't the only high school team that uses Forbay. We have teams from all around the county that come and use our trail system on a Saturday. Those parking lots were full, and that was our busiest day. Was 366 users that one day. So Forbay is pretty great because it's wide enough and broad enough that it can accommodate a lot of people, and it doesn't feel overwhelming, I would say. 366 people at one time would feel a little overwhelming, but we're not there yet. We've talked about adding a couple more counters to get more realistic numbers, but this one counter has given us a lot of great information. So even if we only stick with this one, we can kind of assume some of the other entry points. Master planning, we do have a master plan that we're always trying to work on. And I think now that our actual hands-on work for the season is wrapping up for the most part for this season, our meetings will be more focused on master planning, because we want to have, we have this area, what is it that we want to do, and what is it that everybody wants to see happen. So we did a brainstorming session and came up with a lot of ideas. what we need to come through and filter those out, what's realistic. And as far as what we can do and what people would like to see happen. So that's ongoing. But we're gonna focus a little bit harder on that in the next coming months, probably through the winter season. At the same time, and I'm not sure if we have it on the next slide, but with the maintenance, we do have wintertime maintenance as far as like the grooming. Darce goes up with this little snow dog and grooms the trails for the fat bikers, the skiers. The city acquired a grooming machine that Greg Madsen takes up and grooms for cross-country skiing. So the last couple seasons, we've gone up, or they've gone up, Greg specifically has gone up and created a path. So when the snow comes, you can groom it a little bit better. So we've got, really, it is year-round use. There's also a lot of people that love fat biking, and there's limited amounts of trails that are groomed. So we get a lot of people coming here in the winter to fat bike, and they'll ride up the road of the canyon and stuff as well. But they love riding the trails in the wintertime. So, and not to mention the snowshoers, they get the skiers. It gets a lot of use year round. And back to the Weston and his crew, or the city in general has kept that parking lot really pretty accessible in the winter. Last winter was the biggest winter that we've had in a really long time, and they came out and plowed it and cleared it out for us all winter, so we could use it a lot. It was great. Home to Adventure brand. I would say that at any one point in the city, the Home to Adventure brand probably is Fort Bay area based on the city's webpage, which is Fort Bay, and a lot of the documentation. And Fort Bay really is a great place for us to have and to base our Home to Adventure brand on. Park tax funding, we talked about that. We have been able to get park tax funds for tools for the bike, so we're grateful for that. That's been a real help to us. Maintenance equipment, benches. So we've had some benches coming in, and they're like a regular park bench. We dug the holes early in the season, then it got hot, and we got really busy doing trail maintenance. And so the benches should be going in and probably within the next couple of weeks. So out on different points on the trail, we're going to place a few benches just so people can sit and enjoy the view, and far enough from the trailhead that people won't go paint them is our hope. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, that's our hope. I just got a picture like an hour ago of someone up there building a new fire pit up right in the middle of the trail system. So that never ends, but it's better than it used to be, I will say. One other thing too, the Forest Service gate got destroyed this summer. Someone hit into it. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but
It's been repaired.
it's usable now.
Yeah.
I don't know that we can lock it yet, but it's usable.
They hit it pretty hard.
They hit it so hard, nobody knows what happened. So just a couple pieces of plastic on there, but I can imagine. So with the conservation long-term, looking at long-term, I don't know. I know when this whole Fort Bay committee started, it was because Fort Bay had changed to a surplus status. As far as I know, it's still surplus status. I don't know if that's the case. So, I don't know how much of an impact I would have to change it to a recreation status. It sounds better than surplus there. And then with the conservation, again, long-term, it's a little jewel. And I saw just yesterday or the day before, Harriman announced a new trail system out in their area. And all these cities are fighting for space to build something. And they've done a good job for sure. Harriman, I think the 11, 14 miles of trail, something like that. And we're at 10 with more in the future. We've got the space for it. And so long-term conservation to protect it from all the developers that are just eyeing that place, I think is still the way to go. Whatever we need to do to protect it for those upcoming generations. I was looking at the pictures in our meeting last night, pictures in the conference room, the different years. And I looked at the picture where my house is now, and it was Siemens Field, and it changes every time we do a picture. It's getting swallowed up and it's creeping up. And so it's easier to protect it now than wait till it's too late. So, oh, the other thing, I brought this just because Carl brought these out today. We have these trail signs out placed on posts out at all the different locations. One of our coaches just updated this one, added the newest trail and put some identifiers to say you're here. And he's done these all for us. He just volunteers his time and skills and donated these. But this is currently in place out throughout the trail system. I'm gonna replace those with the newer version, but these are pretty great. And we haven't had any damage for the most part to these, but it makes it really easy for people to find their way around. They're marked, color coded, and he's included all the distances on every trail. So pretty great. I wish he was here. Don Defoe, if you know him. Love to know. Last thing, anybody have any questions?
I don't think so. Any questions? I would like to make a statement if there's any questions other than that. Hey, Carrie, if you just stand there for a second, folks, I don't know whether you know the full history. Many citizens of Payson don't, but this was some property, about how many, 200, 300?
About 500 acres.
500 acres.
Yeah.
That the city is currently still buying. It's a jewel, as Barry mentioned, and it's well worth preserving for future generations. And that's what we're trying to do here. It's open for hikers, bikers, horsemen, women. Yeah. Everyone, it's just really, and Carrie and a group of very dedicated individuals for years have dedicated their free time to enhancing this park, and it's just been recently, and I was with the city's okay.
Yeah.
But we formalized it. We have a committee that is got people from the committee that was original and some city representation there as well, right?
Correct.
So we're looking forward to a wonderful future and a place for our sons and daughters and their sons and daughters to come and enjoy. It's getting, as you say, less and less available.
Yeah.
And so we really feel that this is important. If I've missed anything, please jump in and.
No, I think you covered it. It's been a lot of work and a long process, 20 years.
And the council has been very supportive of that, and I believe rightly so.
Yeah.
We don't want to, we get one chance at some of these things, and this is one of them.
It really is in the timing. Like at the beginning of this, I never foresaw that the areas all around it would be locked off, but most everything is private. You know, to the canyon now, and this is what's left. And Payson just happens to almost own it. And it'll be great when they do. And but long term, this I mean, I'm a little one-sided towards it, but I hear from a lot of people that the trail supervisor over in Provo wishes he had what we have as far as the terrain and what we have. So a lot of these, I know for sure, a lot of the high school teams come and they're like, this is the best thing that we have. And I feel the same way. So we're just kind of lucky.
Two more things that Gary mentioned, park tax. If you're not familiar with that, it's a tax that is very useful. Some taxes don't seem to be that useful, and we've been able to take care of the Fort Bay area with that park tax for parks and recreation and the arts. We've been able to build a pickleball court with it. We've helped the Payson Community Theater with it. We put top over the playground equipment. There's a myriad of things that can go for, and will continue to go for. So it's a very important part of the financial structure of our city.
Yeah, I agree.
So
It's been really helpful for us and for all the other.
So thank you for all the work, and I know it's a lot of work, so thank you.
Yeah, thank all of you for the support. And I'd really like to just, since Carl and Jill are both here, just thank them.
You bet, absolutely.
And Carl's been a great supporter. Weston's been a ton of help, the committee in general, but Jill Spencer, without Jill, I don't know. I thought about it today, and I don't know where we'd be. So Jill Spencer, I'd like to name the place after you.
One last thing, we took a little bit of heat, and that's okay, but we restricted it just to those uses and no motorized use because we don't want it ruined.
It's difficult with a motorized in that area because it is a smaller area. So I know it's kind of a sour note for some, but it's made it better for all the rest.
And we are working on a place for those that want motorized access to another area as well. So,
yeah, I like motorized too. So, thanks.
Thank you. think the four base a good place to continue to support it and enhance the community.
And I think maybe we need to make it into recreation, not surplus.
And we'll work with staff to see how. Conservation easement takes a little bit of work.
Yeah, I know that, but we need to start it.
It just takes a little bit of work but it can't be done.
And then I just have something else. I know that the little boys coming up that are in junior high can't wait to be on the team, so they can go up there and ride that.
Well, we'll work with staff with recreation. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 5, the public forum. Ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to do a little preface here. I know many of you are here to talk about a future annexation that's in the plans, in the works right now. This is your time, and we certainly will want to respect that time that is allowed here in the public forum. The council will listen to what your comments are, and it will be on the record. And as your comments are brought forward, that will be something we'll look towards our staff for recommendations as well. So please, as we do this public forum, please be cognizant of the time. Try to limit your comments to 3 minutes, unless it's possible. I'm not going to call you out when 3 minutes is gone, but please be cognizant of the time. And as others come up, please try not to repeat the same things that have been already said and that will be part of the record. So we'll go ahead and open the public forum, and we'll be more than happy to listen to your comments. Lance, come on up.
Can I?
You bet. Folks, just as you see the comments and they're done, just come on up and identify yourself as you get up to the pulpit, so we know who you are.
Okay.
Just so you know, I took the opportunity to talk with Lance. I know, is Bart Wilson here tonight?
Yes.
Bart, I'm sorry I didn't get back with you, but it wasn't because I didn't want to, it's just time constraints. So thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. My name is Lance Wilson, for the record. I'm a resident just outside of the city boundaries, West Mountain unincorporated area. And I also have a business in Spanish Fork, so I have connections with both communities and love both communities very much. I received a letter in the mail from the council, or from the mayor, a couple weeks ago regarding the notice of proposed annexation for RNC number 2. And I went ahead and took the liberty to draft, as was requested in that letter, a letter of protest, which I certainly sent to the Utah County Recorder's Office or Clerk's Office, as well as I sent one here to the Recorder's Office as well. I have some comments, and if it's okay, I'd just like to read them so that I don't stumble over my words, if you bear with me. Mayor Wright, Payson City Council, James Madison, a founding father, our 4th president of the United States, and he who is hailed as the father of the Constitution, authored the following words: "Government is instituted to protect property of every sort. This being the end of government, that alone is a just government, which impartially secures to every man whatever is his own." Madison further stated, "The preservation of property then is a primary object of the social compact, a fundamental law. As neighbors of Payson City's northwest boundary, we oppose the annexation of property along 9600 South until more deliberation and discussion can be had regarding the industrial zoning of this proposed annexation. We object the city's plans to further their industrialization of property so near our homes and farms. As Madison stated, government is instituted to protect property, not to seek out lucrative proposals from developers whose only desire is to build more and more warehouses, slaughterhouses, and everything else industrial. How can the city of Payson zone property for high-density housing on one side of the road and then zone property on the other side of the same road as an industrial business park with residential homeowners smashed in between? Then to the north of this same conflict in zoning, we have a transit-oriented development, a future Utah or University Extension campus, and a Veterans Care Center, all of that surrounded by more industrial zoning. This plan makes no sense. With all of this proposed development happening, somehow the city has forgotten about the many farms and residences located all around this industrialization. homeowners with yards, back patios for picnics, front porch swings for sunsets, yet all to be surrounded by industrial warehouses? With the words of Madison ringing in my ear, I must ask, what is Payson City doing for the preservation of property? For those whose homes and residences lie in the bullseye of this proposed annexation and industrial zoning? Is the city's focus more on increasing tax revenue, or is it focused on the model that government is instituted to protect property? Mayor Wright and City Council, please consider a different path forward for this area of Payson. Please allow us as your neighbors a seat at the table to discuss these important issues. Recognize the good we can do together to make this area a rose among thorns and something more than just a sea of concrete and warehouses. This annexation must be stopped until the zoning of this area is rewritten to be more compatible with the existing homes and farms in this area. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comment. Anyone else, please come on up. Don't be shy. Bart, come on up. Although I've identified you as Bart, please identify yourself.
So, Bart Wilson, I just live just a little bit north and a little bit south and west of, Lance. So we got a lot of concerns, I'll tell you what, and I've spoken to a lot of the neighbors, and some of them are here and some of them aren't. I mean, the annexation, we are so totally against it. I mean, you have industrial property out there by Rocky Mountain ATV, and you can't even fill that. Why not fill that first? I mean, the farms have been in the family, my family anyway, for over 100 years. And we farm them, and I just keep wondering in the back of my head, you keep chewing up all the ground, the farm ground that we moved out there to live on, to live away from the city, and you keep chewing it up and chewing it up. I mean, who's going to provide for all the products everybody puts on their table? You know, milk and potatoes and the essentials. I mean, I wonder too, you people keep developing land. I'm in construction, so I understand the business, and you keep listening to all these rich developers, and they come in and want to buy the land up, and I wonder in my head, where are you going to get your water? You think it's just going to magically appear? I just wonder, because I know I'm out in the field. I see what's going on in other cities, and eventually the water is going to cease. It's just not going to magically appear. And you're taking away from our wells and the aquifer. I had to spend $15,000 2 years ago to drop more pipe in the ground to get my water to my house. I just scratch my head and wonder, when are you gonna stop and say enough is enough? And I have a couple other bullet points here, but we're just so against it. I mean, that's why a lot of the people live out there where they do, is because it's family farms. The gentleman that's building the new home there is from Arizona. That's why he's building there, is to get away from all the, the construction. I mean, and the more industry. I mean, we were out there first. Again, I wonder, how would you guys like it if we came and built high rises and industrial buildings in your backyard? You probably wouldn't. Same way with us. We don't want to be surrounded by that. It's a lot of people's way of lives, and that's why we live out there. And to wake up and have to look out the window like Lance said, and look at a light industrial building out in front of your front yard. I mean, none of us want that. And like I say, you take away from all that, the water and everything else is a big issue there. So let's see, just bear with me. I'm not a very good public speaker, but maintenance of the ditches. maintenance of the roads, I get roads. I'm in the road business and I get that, and so I wonder, if you put much thought into that. Can you guarantee that the development that you're thinking of proposing is not gonna decrease the amount of water? I don't think you can. The industries that are coming, if they do, they're gonna take away from that. The aquifers, the homes, the quality, the price of our homes is probably gonna go down because of that infrastructure comes in. And I know you're all thinking, out of the money that it's gonna bring to you guys, it's Payson City, and the infrastructure that does come, if it does, it's gonna add money to you guys as, Payson City, but the roads aren't designed for that. They're just not designed for that heavy traffic. The amount of traffic, it's just gonna increase, the trash that's gonna be blown around into the ditches and stopped our water, eventually could stop the water from getting down to our places that we are watering. We get our water, and I know a couple of years ago, because of the drought, we didn't get it. I mean, I know you guys took it to give to the people here in the town so that they could have something to drink and I guess take showers and stuff with, and my crops burned up because of that 2 years ago. I just, maybe it's just time, and I'm hoping that you as a council will take the time to understand all of our concerns and just not go and approve it just without, kind of taking some of our thoughts into realization and realize that maybe it's just time to stop. I mean, fill up the one you can't even fill up out there by Rocky Mountain ATV, or find other land that's not affecting us as country people out there, and taking away the water and our grandchildren and stuff. People, my grandchildren and my children want to build out there, but will they do it if they have to wake up in the morning to a big industrial park? Probably not. And, I want them to build out there by me, but I just don't know. It's just so against it. And I hope that you'll take what we're saying into consideration before you make a decision. It's just, like I said, I feel like there's other places you could go without involving our land and water and everything that we grew up and, put money into to live where we live. And I know there's other places you can go build it. It's to telling you where you're gonna build it, because we're already gonna have UVU there. Eventually, maybe the interchange is coming. I understand with UDOT that it's sort of on hold right now, but I guess it'll eventually come. I mean, so we're gonna have things there, but anyway.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, Bob. Yes, sir. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Robert Rasmussen. I'm a resident in West Mountain, neighbors of both Lance and Bart. 30 years ago, Kathy and I, we were both raised here in Payson, both Kathy and Genola. We lived in Provo Norm for about 25 years, and we moved to West Mountain for a reason. And it was for the lifestyle. And we've loved our lifestyle for 27 years now. I don't think a week has gone by that my wife Kathy hasn't looked out our back window and said we live in heaven. And I believe and know that part of the responsibility of any elected official is to not only protect the property rights of citizens, but also their lifestyle. And an industrial development, industrial zoning going down 9600 will totally change the lifestyle of every resident that lives in that area. When you were discussing Forbay just a few moments ago, one of the comments by the individual was that that area needed to be protected from developers. And we want that same consideration for our lifestyle, our property. And just like Bart said, he's got family that would like to move down there. I believe we have family that would like to also, and it's still 5 acres. 5.25 acres if you want to stay in Greenbelt. If you approve this development, all that lifestyle changes. And I think it'd be a travesty to ruin that, especially like Bart said, that land's been in his family for 100 years. And most of my neighbors around me, we're newbies with only 27 years. Most of them have been there for 2 or 3 or 4 generations. I think you need to take a long-term look at this, just like Lance said. Let us come to the table with you, because nobody's asked us to at this point, and it would definitely affect us. So we certainly appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Robert, thank you for your comment.
This is really emotional for me.
Can imagine.
Thank you. Noreen Lorell, I'm actually impacted. This isn't the first time we've been impacted. I live right across from Eversage. And I remember when Eversage came in, and when the second set of apartments, the other 100 on the south side of the road, we came to a meeting like this. We came to the planning and zoning meeting and the council meeting. When I came to the, zoning meeting, John Cowan, when I asked, he was the chairman, and I said, how many of you, I was working with someone at the time who was on the zoning and planning committee up north, up by Salt Lake, and she said, when we had something like that, we studied it. We got together, we got our walking shoes, we went out and walked, we talked to neighbors. And so when we were at the planning committee, I said, another 100 apartments you're going to squeeze in. I said, we've got mobile home parks. The first mobile home park came in, Miller Meadows, was supposed to be a retirement park. It never was. It was supposed to be a 55 plus. Then Eversage came in, and it impacts them too. I mean, it's changed the quality of all of those tenants to those 2 parks. Then we had Eversage come in with 163 units. And then when they came with the next 100, and I said to the planning and zoning, how many of you have driven down there? Because when that Eversage was being built, we had roads closed off. We couldn't get in and out of our driveway. We had sewer. I mean, literally couldn't get in and out of our driveway. We had a neighbor that waited for medication. UPS wouldn't go up and down the road. It was a train wreck the way it was not managed. It's not how it wasn't managed. But I said to this zoning and planning committee, how many of you have driven down there? When Eversage was being built, how many of you drove down? John Cowan was the only one that raised his hand. I want to ask you guys to put your shoes on and walk where this development's going to be and visit with the neighbors. I mean, put yourself there. It's not in your neighborhood. And that's what I fear is we've come to the point where just kind of society that if I don't feel it, we care less than we used to. I grew up with parents that were residents of Payson, and they were good neighbors. Thinking of industrial behind me, I could use to see Loafer. I can't see Loafer. I can't get in and out of my driveway. When my grandkids come, Max walks to the end of the driveway to tell them when to get in and out. Put your shoes on, go for a walk, and listen with your heart of how it impacts we're real people. Thank you.
My name's Butch Wilson, live out there in West Mountain. Bill, we go way back, long ways. I remember I used to be able to sight my rifle in a shotgun outside my house right out there. My boys killed pheasants right out in the road in front of our house. And now I can still hear crickets and bullfrogs out there. You get all that commercial, industrial, the lighting. The newcomers out there, they've only been out there 20, 30 years, don't get this, but you used to go out there at night and you could see a million stars. Now we got the lighting from town, just drives you nuts. We used to sit out on the pond behind Dad's house, you know where he lives, shoot them ducks when they come in, fly through the moon. You couldn't see them anymore. There's just way too much light. It's way too busy right now. And if you drive down North Main Payson, right now, it's a cluster. It's a huge backlog. So it tells me Payson or the state can't even manage traffic at this point. I assume everyone who's drove North Main and would agree with me on that. I got my dad's house, my boys live there now, is that railroad, or right, all that purple right there comes out and engulfs them guys. And if they do build industrial right there, even though it's not right there, it's across the tracks, it still has an effect, right? It's like yelling in this room. I'm only yelling right here, but everybody can hear it. It's just a mess, and there's way too much blue and purple or dark purple and purple out in that country. We've got a way of life out there, and I know somebody can understand that if you haven't lived out there, but we'd like to maintain that way of life for as long as we can. I understand Payson has to grow, right? It just does. And we've grown a lot out there. There are just so many new homes out there, and it's still nice. The roads are getting way too busy right now. And if we start letting big trucks and semis come in, so that has to support the industrial, right? There's gonna be all kinds of big equipment and busy, a lot busier stuff. And it's noisy too. Anybody who's been in the commercial area, it gets busy. And if we can make use of everything you've got so far, maybe kick this down the road 10 years, my vested interest is basically my way of life and keeping my family and kids and stuff going on out there. Used to ride pedal bikes and safe. I used to ride my pedal bike uptown to go to football practice and that. Now there's so much traffic out there, you couldn't. You'd get whacked on the road or something. They're just too busy. If we could just kick that down the road, keep it where you're already growing. You guys have already fought that battle. You can keep growing out there. That's good. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Fernando Carroll. And we live on the same street as Max and Marie Lerville. We're impacted by this annexation. Our property is within the boundaries. I think that when more community concerns started to sound in my ear and in my email, I started to understand that there's actually two things that are being opposed here. One is the annexation itself. We oppose the annexation. The other is I guess the master plan of the development. And so I think almost everybody also opposes industrial development there. We just kind of want to briefly, to not repeat anything else, hopefully. I want to ask you to consider as Payson incorporates county land, which is our property, there's big changes that impact us and our property. And I ask you to please consider it if it was you in your backyard as you move forward with plans for development and annexation. Because when we visited these meetings for the planning and approvals of those condominiums, there are 260 units across the street from me now. It fell on deaf ears, right? Our concerns and our complaints. And now we have what we have. So as far as the annexation, concerns that I have, that we have, our family has about being annexed into the city. The appropriation of our water rights, our water well. The increase in costs with the change in utility providers. Our monthly expenses are gonna go up immediately. The open-ended question of what will happen at the annexation. For instance, I called the city and I asked, well, are you gonna take my well? Are you gonna make me go on the sewer, get off my septic tank? Are you gonna make me put in curb and gutter? And the response was, well, that depends on the annexation agreement. Well, I'm like, I'm being annexed and somebody else gets to agree on that. And that's obviously not right. So if you consider that happening to you, right? How would you feel? How would you vote and decide on that? So the way that this annexation came about, or the application for annexation, one individual with enough resources has been buying up property all around us until he finally got to that 50% threshold to be able to apply for annexation. And there were misrepresentations in his application and the way he went about trying to convince the neighbors on the street to sign on to this annexation. It's evident in the fact that this annexation has a number 2 on the title. The county was smart enough to catch it, and I don't know. I just feel that there's been some dishonesty, some dealing going on to try and get this annexation pushed, and the neighbors, the people that live on that street that don't want it, are being forced into it. So if you remember anything at all, I just want you, irregardless of my concerns, what would your concerns be if you lived there and if you were about to get incorporated and your property and how it would change? Thank you.
Anyone else? Nope. Come on up.
It's. I don't know that this piece could.
Women up here, we get emotional, but I live next to Lance and Bard.
Could we get
Everybody
your
else
name,
has
please?
been here. Yes, I'm so sorry. My name is Patty Holmbeck-Dial.
Thank you.
I moved to West Mountain in 1996, so I'm a newbie 24 years ago. I moved from Orem, Utah, and I bought a little home on 800 North when they started this nice little subdivision up there. And within 2 years, the land behind 800 North was changed to industrial. And soon I had people running through my backyard, police after people. It wasn't a safe place to raise my daughter, who at that time was 4 years old. So very prayerfully, I looked into where I should move, and West Mountain, found an older home in West Mountain. I spent 24 years there with wonderful people. These are fine people. I don't know who you're asking to sell their property. It's not even selling, they don't even have a choice. So what good people, salt of the earth. Some have been there for 100 years, their families. I don't know if it's the times, but I hear stories that I've heard about, Noreen Lorwell, and Fernando came up, where they were advised about a council meeting, and they came in and it fell on deaf ears. I see your faces, and I wonder if you're interested or if you've already made the decision. I'm not trying to be mean. I promise I have a soft heart. Um, but I guess I'm wondering if this is futile for us, but I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. I raised my daughter there. I'm about to have my first grandchild there. These are great people. You've got other places, and like, you know, Fernando said, you're so worried about the trails and everything and preserving that for generations to come. We have generations out there. I feel privileged to be there. Please think about this. If you've already made a decision, tell us. At least we can prepare for the worst. But I know what's coming. I experienced it in Orem. It's not going to be a safe place to live anymore. There's going to be a high rate of crime. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Emma Wilson. I'm Lance's daughter, but, so we live on a ranch out where we're talking about, and we have about 70 acres, and it's been my family for at least 100 years with my great-great-grandpa Carol, my grandpa Shirley, my great-grandpa Shirley, my grandpa Steve, and now my dad, Lance, and me. And, I have a very strong attachment to this land. It's one of the strongest things in my life, not just our land, but the land all around us, the whole area. And I like to write things and stuff. And here's a piece of a poem I wrote about my land, our home. It goes, all the pretty horses that I've rode down that road, hear the pines now singing, and suddenly I'm home. Life goes on, it goes on, it goes on. But our piece of heaven will always be the same for eternity. If this land gets annexed, I won't be able to ride those pretty horses down that road anymore. We won't be able to hear the pines singing. And our piece of heaven won't be the same anymore. Anyways, just please help us to preserve this land.
Freight tacos, I live in Payson down in the fields. And I just want you to know that my kids and grandkids can't wait for me to die so they can move there. Do not
We hope that doesn't happen anytime soon.
I hope so not, but I'm getting there. Do not disappoint my kids and grandkids.
My name's Carl Grimes. I actually live in Payson, in West Mountain. And I do want to point out something that got touched upon by Bart and expand on that slightly. In 1961, there was slightly over 9 million square miles of arable land. As of 2022, we have 5.9 million living on the planet. He touched upon where's our food going to come from. And no one's making any more land anytime soon. Please don't build on our farmland. Food prices are already getting too high. We're still going to need to eat. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Gus Wilson, son of Butch Wilson. I live out in West Mountain, have the great privilege of doing so. I've grown up out there for quite a while. I've had the enjoyment of living out in that country and hunting, fishing, riding bikes, all that fun stuff that country offers. And just recently, when I moved back out there with my young girls, they've been able to enjoy playing in the creek out front. But a few years ago, when we were out there, some kind of spill happened to come down that creek. Killed a bunch of the fish out there, and they don't catch bluegills since. And I heard that it comes from the industrial park further up and around Rocky Mountains. Now, I haven't been able to confirm that, but the fact is something come down and killed all them fish off. When you bring industrial stuff next to housing, there's always gonna be accidents, spills. When I work in Flowserve in Springville, and we just recently got kind of in trouble because people were out pressure washing bodies near where the drains go down. And obviously that was wrong, it was bad. People got in trouble, but the fact is mistakes still happen. That kind of stuff happens on industrial ground, and I don't want that kind of stuff to start happening. My brothers are living not too far from where it is. The dark purple's coming in, and I was happy to see them come in because they get to enjoy that country life still. My sister moved into the city in Springville, so she says she can't tell us how much she misses all the enjoyment of being out in that country. And I don't want to see any of my family or even my daughters start losing more of that as this industrial comes in. So just want to let you know I oppose that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, council. My name is Adriel Carroll, son of Fernando Carroll. As you mentioned earlier, we are one of the homeowners directly affected by this proposed annexation. I just want to give you a few of the thoughts as, from my perspective, I don't pay bills, I don't pay taxes, I go to high school. What I do have is my emotions and memories of this land. Now, our family hasn't been here for hundreds of years like others, but our family did come here so we could ride our horses in our backyard. So that me and my younger sister could run around in our 2.5 acres freely and enjoy ourselves. Now we come from Provo, which at the time of us first moving in Provo, it was towards the west side, towards Utah Lake. It was very agricultural rural. I remember being 7 and we found a cow in our backyard, just due to that field behind us. That eventually field got taken away. Provo High was built out there. All that industrialization did move out west, and we eventually moved here. Earlier today, there was an unfortunate car accident on our street. And I remember me, as well as Max and Noreen, and one of our other neighbors, all came out to see if they were okay. That's 3 houses on our street. This industrialization is not only killing our land, but it's killing our community. It's almost putting a death sentence on it. We have irrigation ditch for our pasture to feed our horses. A while back, water wasn't coming through. I remember my dad at maybe 1 in the morning had to follow the line all the way under the freeway, all the way up to the Payson McDonald's to see a gate. The grate where our water comes through was covered in trash. Now he spent hours getting the trash out, and eventually we had water running again to water our field. That was just one grate, you know? Who knows what could happen if all of a sudden we're letting all this other urbanization, industrialization happen to our farmlands and our livelihoods. Thank you.
Hello, my name is David Wilson. I'm actually Lance's uncle, and we have been here and farmed for a long time on the West Mountain. My grandfather and father was from Payson, and that land has been in our possession for over 100 years. I understand the importance of growing. I just think that it needs to be a little better thought out. Somebody mentioned the American Way over by Rocky Mountain ATV. That land was all made for development, and it's still got a lot of room for development. In front of the stadium cinemas, there's that land that's The only thing there is the stadium. There's room for growth. There's other places to look at. This area 9500 and Fifth West, where the Eversage is, I just do not believe that that's a good target area for industrial. Me personally, just north of the Eversage, that intersection just north, we own some property, and this was about 25 years ago, maybe a little longer. Time goes by. The golf course used to be just west of here, and then it moved up to Elk Ridge. And about that time, all of us farmers down there lost our irrigation water for our hay fields. And Payson City left no explanation, no apology. It just went away. Our irrigation water that we were grandfathered in just went away. And so when people express their concerns about industrial and the effects, they're real. Their effects are real of what's going to happen. And they're on the north end of Payson, where we're talking about, is just too much residential for having industrial. I think there would be much better options, and I would ask this council to look at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've come to the point, we know the feeling of many of you, if not all. And so I would suggest that we go ahead and close the public forum. We'll go ahead and do that, but after having said that and closing the public forum, we thank you for your comments. This is the way that the government is supposed to work. I can guarantee you that your comments do not fall on deaf ears. It may seem like that at times, but I know the hearts of all these council members. I know Mike. It does not fall on deaf ears. And please don't think that. So thank you once again for your comments, and we'll go ahead and move on to the last one here with the petitions. We'll go with the staff report. If someone, David.
Mayor Council, I just want to thank the mayor, council, and the staff for Onion Days. I think it went well. We had a little bit of rain, but it held off for the parade and all the other activities. So thanks to all the staff. There was a lot of volunteer hours and work, and thought it was a great celebration weekend. So I just want to let you know we appreciate all you've done and the staff as well.
Thank you, Dave. Any other staff? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to council reports, starting with Council Creed.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that Onion Days was great. It was a lot of fun to see everybody and to get out into the community. It was always enjoyable to walk the parade route and to be able to see those people that are excited to see us. It may have had to do with the candy, but I'm going to say it wasn't. And they just wanted to see me. But and it's always good to see the rain. It did kind of put a little bit of a damper on some of it, but for the most part, it was just made Monday a really nice, comfortable day, in my opinion. So, and shout out to the staff. Grateful for all they do. I was really sad to hear about Kiwanis Park. It just kind of breaks my heart that people, for those of you that don't know, somebody broke the bathroom doors in and broke up all the toilets, and just kind of vandalized it to ruin it. And so it's a little disheartening, but hopefully we can get it repaired and back up and running. Thank you.
Beecher.
Just add my best wishes that everything went well at Onion Days and it's enjoyable. Thanks staff for all they do for that. And thank you for being here. You citizens of the area, we appreciate you being here and we do listen to you and what you say. Thank you.
I'd just like to take the opportunity, though generally, but I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the staff and council for the hard work for Onion Day / the Labor Day celebration. I think it was another exemplary celebration. We have great support with the local businesses that help us put that on each and every year. It would be a lot harder without their support. Just real quickly, we'd like to shout out Walmart had their grand opening on Friday of the celebration, and we were able to celebrate with them. Also, same morning at 10:30, we had the groundbreaking for MTech, which will bring education at a different level than we've ever had in Payson City and for the surrounding area. So just wanted to make that those comments. John,
I've always gone out of my way to thank staff. And this week, this past week, I had the opportunity to experience firsthand the need for life saving at my home with my wife. And a shout out to the officer. I couldn't get his name, I was too remote to read. But the paramedics that came and saved my wife and got her immediately to the hospital, handled themselves in such a wonderful way. We're in good hands with our paramedics and our police department, our fire department. Monday morning early, I had the opportunity, I got Payson Canyon way early. And there was Dixon Fairbanks, and I didn't catch the other young man's name that was with him, working on those bathrooms, trying to get them to where they could at least, I don't know, try to be used for a busy Labor Day. So a shout out to staff. Scott, if you pass that on to Todd and the other two that were, they allowed me to ride in the ambulance since I was a city employee and watch them work and do it. Thank you.
You bet. That's not.
That's Maya.
I just wanted to same thing, shout out all the people who helped at Onion Days. I do have a question about some of our employees that have been volunteering for quite a few years. Are we looking ahead when maybe the employee retire? Or, I mean, are we bringing people on to teach them what these people are doing and all these different things for Onion Days? We need to look at that.
I know that as a thought, and I think it's ongoing, got involved in some of that, but you're exactly right. That's what needs to be paid attention to. And I believe it is.
Because some of these people have so much knowledge,
Yeah.
but I know that they're getting up there too, where they need to pass that knowledge on to other people and let younger come in and help a little bit more. Okay,
Good comment. Thank you.
but thanks to everybody that helped.
Okay. Takes care of staff and council reports. We'll go ahead and move on to action items. This was a resolution amendments to the Payson City fee schedule. Kathy?
He's on. He's on. He was. He was. I just see him. He's on. That's
See if I can get
He
that
is
on. That's sharing.
Sorry, I just wanted to thank those students that were here from Mr. Morel's class. Oh, it's fun to see you. And Emma, good job on getting the extra credit.
Hey, we've got two adjustments to the fee schedule. The first one is just maintenance thing. In the solid waste, we had a recycling waste material program that we don't offer anymore, so we're gonna take that off the fee schedule. The second one we introduced when we brought forward the adjustment to the electric fees, and that is the PCA adjustment. And what that is going to do is level out the highs and lows of the energy costs so that maybe we can recoup some of that. I'm going to turn the time over to Mark Bushaw. He is with Utah Financial Solutions, and he is the one that is doing our electric fee analysis, and he can explain that further.
Council, thank you so much for the opportunity to come and talk to you. And thank you, Kathy. I just want to start by giving you, if I can share my screen, I just want to give you a quick review of what we discussed back in June on the power supply cost adjustments. Not sure if I can take control. Let's see.
Okay. She did.
All right, here we go. Right, back in June, can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Back in June, we discussed the implementation of power supply cost adjustment. In the previous year, in all throughout pretty much different regions in the US and also in Utah, we saw extreme fluctuations in power supply cost. And utilities that did not have a power cost adjustment, they basically, in a sense, burned through their cash reserves. And since that's happened, over in the past 6 months, power supply costs have stabilized, which is a really good thing. And it's a good time to implement a power cost adjustment because right now it looks like it's going to be very minimal and quite likely zero when it's initially implemented. But of course, that can change. But what a power supply cost adjustment is when power supply costs go up or down, those costs or savings are passed on to customers. And it protects the utility from, because in your case, about 69% of your cost are power supply related, and it's outside of the control of the utility. You know, you have control mainly on the distribution infrastructure and your O&M cost related to that. But power supply costs are driven by the market. Of course, what we saw recently was because of the increase in natural gas prices driven by the war in Ukraine. And so it protects the utility. And I would guess probably 75% of all utilities in the United States have a power cost adjustment formula. Now, one of the things that we had discussed was 4 different methodologies to consider. And all of them have certain positives and negatives. You know, like a 1-month power cost adjustment causes issues for customers because you can have a large spike. Let me highlight this. Because you can have a large spike in any given month, up or down. So what happens is a customer's bill may be stable for a few months, then all of a sudden skyrocket upward. So from a customer's standpoint, those are typically can be cause issues for customers and their bills and budgeting. A 3-month power cost adjustment causes a similar spike because it's trued up every 3 months. So if in that 3-month period, power supply costs increase, that gets passed on. It can cause a large jump for that next 3-month period. What we tend to prefer, and most utilities prefer, is kind of to balance the risk in a sense between the utility and the customer. And we do that by using what's called a rolling average. So what happens is when power supply costs shoot up in a month or 2 months, that gets passed on to customers, but gradually over the next 6 months of time or the next 12 months of time. From the utility standpoint, the risk that they're incurring is that power supply recovery is being delayed for up to, if it's a 6 month rolling PCA, it can be delayed for 6, 7, 8 months. So there's both sides, in a sense, are assuming some risk. And so we looked at these 4 different scenarios, and the feedback that we received was the council preferred the 6 month power cost adjustment formula. And what we're asking for tonight is the actual adoption of the rate itself. And let me go through the methodology of the tariff. Trying to get to my Word document. There we go. Okay, if you can see my screen still, this is the actual adoption of the formula, where it's the wholesale power supply cost right here, plus internal generation fuel related costs, natural gas, diesel, oil, to operate your diesels that are located in Payson. One of the things we also rolled in was there is a transmission line that's going to be constructed by SUVPS. And that transmission cost or line does 2 things. One is it provides additional capacity for growth, and it also provides system reliability, resiliency in the system. At least that's a long-term objective. So you have not just a radial line, but 2 lines coming into the city to promote reliable electric service. So what we did for purposes of the power cost adjustment and the impact fee analysis that we're working on is we took that transmission cost that's projected in a couple of years and split it 50-50 between new growth and improved reliability. So once that is implemented, then 50% of the debt service payment associated with that transmission line would also roll into this formula. So I wanted to make you aware of that. Before I go on to that wholesale power supply cost is then divided by the kilowatt hour sales over the previous 6 months. And that generates then the power cost adjustment formula that would be charged to customers. There's also a reduction of 6.89 cents. That number is buried within the current rates that customers pay for power supply cost. So if power supply costs on average exceed that 6.9 cents, that will be passed on to customers. If it's below the 6.9 cents, they would be credited. However, right now Payson's in a situation where you're in a difficult situation cash wise. And so I put a provision in the formula that says that if the power cost adjustment happens to go negative, which normally would be passed on to customers, but we would only do it if our operating cash reserves is above $4 million, which is the minimum cash requirement for the utility. And right now you're below that. So right now in our preliminary projections up to the month of July, that power cost adjustment would be slightly negative, like 0.002 cents per kilowatt hour. But I don't want to necessarily give that back right now because our cash is in a tough situation. So once the cash grows to 4 million, then any negative in the power cost adjustment would be passed on to customers. That's in a nutshell what this will be doing and how the formula would work. And I was wondering if you had any questions or concerns about what we put together.
You answered my one question is whether we got the credit.
What is the $4 million? Getting there for paying back?
The rate. We'll build it back up. It's built from the rates. And it's the reserve.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
We had that reserve to help us through the last one.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that if we can build it back up, we'll carry us through the next one if we do.
So it's the reserve that we really need to have in case something.
When we have the next.
And just to note, Mark, refined the language in here that I forgot to add to part of the fee schedule, so I'll make sure that the fee schedule reflects what Mark is showing up here.
This language,
Yes.
Yes.
because it didn't say it in the one that you had.
No, I think I missed that part, so I'll add it. I'll make sure it's all added.
That was my question is whether we got
At the top,
credit.
the bottom of this. So what does this basically do to the monthly bill?
Mark, do you want to hit that?
I couldn't hear the question.
Councilman Hyatt is asking, what will that do to the monthly bill?
It's difficult to say. I think the average usage, I forget what it is, about 750 kilowatt hours a month. So right now we're projecting it to be pretty much zero, at least for right now, but I can't say in a few months what that's going to be. Now that there were in our projections over the course of the last 12 months, let me show it to you. We would have had some pretty good increases because it was an unusual event, but I think the unusual events are becoming more frequent. I'm going to do a freeze paint on this, so you can see the headers. I'm having a hard time finding the freeze paint button. Let me see. And the reason is because one of the thing on the, here, maybe exits out. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, this column right here is we went back over the course of several years, actually 3 years, and to see what the power cost adjustment would be each month. And most notably in the past 12 months, what it would have been. And because the power supply costs were quite high, you can see that there were times it was up close to 2.5, 3 cents a kilowatt hour. So I'm not sure what your average residential customer's usage is, but let's say it's 750. Then that month would have a power cost adjustment in it of $23, which is pretty substantial. And currently over the past 6 months, we've been drawing down on our cash reserves, because we didn't have that mechanism in place. Now, right now, as of today, as of the end of July, that number actually went negative, 0.0029 would have been implemented. So theoretically, customers would save but I'm recommending we keep it at 0. But most likely in the future, this will go up. I mean, we're in very unstable markets right now, which is one of the main reasons why so many utilities are putting these in place. Because, when you draw down on your cash reserves, it makes it difficult to do the capital improvements and keep your system maintained and provide reliable service. So, that's the reason why so many utilities are putting these in place, especially in Utah. The several utilities that we've done work for several years have power cost adjustments in place. But over the course of the last year, for most customers that we started doing work for, we've implemented these power cost adjustments. So to protect them in the future, there's not much you can do about going backwards. So those power supply costs we just can't recover them. But we can fix it moving forward.
So can I ask a quick question right here? So you've talked about the fact that as we move forward, these prices are gonna go up, and I noticed you actually had a price per kilowatt hour in there. Is there something in there that says, hey, if you go so long without that ever dipping back to that? Was it 0.0689, if I recall correctly?
Yep.
If it never dips back to that, is there a way that we can say, all right, well, that's no longer the base rate? We need as citizens to know that 5 years down the road, if it's now 10 cents a kilowatt hour instead of 6 cents, but it dips back to 7 cents, why can't we have the 3 cents back then? So I kind of want to see it more as a living document and less set in stone. So if it said somewhere in there that if it never dips back to the 0 for 6 months, even a year, that the new 0 becomes established at that point in time. So that as a city we're protected and as citizens we're protected both ways. So that we're not gonna get.
Usually do that every.
Correct. Usually what occurs.
Is it adjusted with rates or is it?
I don't.
That's what, I don't know if that number ever changes. That's all I'm asking.
If I could just, what happens is usually periodically, like my recommendation is usually that if that power cost adjustment consistently exceeds 1 or 1.5 cents a kilowatt hour, that we true it up. And what the true up is or means is that we take the 1.5 cents in my example, roll it into the base rates, and then we increase the base that's used in this calculation to make this number 0 or closer to 0. So that's usually trued up, like I said, periodically. Normally when a cost of service study is completed, it's trued up.
Would that be, is there a time on it that every 6 months or a year? Is that when you take a look at it?
No, usually it's normally like a cost of service study. We recommend doing a cost of service study every 3 years, 3 to 5 years, depending on the situation. But and that's usually the time that it's trued up. It doesn't mean it couldn't be trued up sooner if the numbers are consistently high. And that's something that can be done if staff feels that it's more of a permanent situation. Part of the reason, not to get too complex, but having a high power cost adjustment can create subsidies between customers between the different customer classes. And it gets a little hard to explain, but the same thing happens when it goes negative. In other words, larger customers are going to get an unfair benefit, if you want to put it that way, if the power supply cost goes negative. But if it's positive, they get an unfair amount of burden. So that's why periodically it has to be trued up.
And we have somewhat of control over that, as you mentioned, our staff can take a look at it over a period of time. And if it is a trend they're seeing, it's not going to be coming back down anytime soon, they could trigger that, right?
That's correct.
I always worry about doing something that's going to affect future generations negatively or however it might be. And so it sounds to me like the groundwork is in place to make sure that we're all on board and that people will be protected in the future. So I'm good with it.
Correct. Yeah. And honestly, that's a great point because I know sometimes it's difficult to think this way, but you know, the prices and the rates are important to customers. I'm not going to deny that. But the most important thing is the reliability of the service and to keep the system maintained. So to prevent outages and especially extended outages. And the only way you can do that is for the system to have the capital or the available to continue the improvements. And, and this helps to ensure that the customers are protected from um, a system that's not maintained appropriately, is the best way to put it. So,
Thank you. And obviously, we have.
Are there more changes or just this?
Capacity on our end.
Which we're planning to do.
This doesn't have as much effect on us. So.
That makes it even more critical.
Yeah, I do like the fact that when we get to those really high peaks, we can generate our own power right now, but with diesel at $5 a gallon, it's probably not very advisable.
That's why we need
So
to
we
do
need some natural gas ones.
Yeah, that's why we're doing what we plan on doing.
So the other avenues we're pursuing as well are important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The sooner the better.
The small generators, the nuclear, all of those options are things we need to look at.
And we just put a plug in these.
You know, some deadlines come up in June.
Oh, there's some deadlines in December, January. We'll give you some updates.
Yeah, they're coming.
But I like the idea of us going to those natural gas generators, just kind of put a plug in for that. Then we can rely a little bit more on the less stable green energy.
Anything we can do to,
Not getting any better, is it, Brad?
anything we can do to.
We just try to stay optimistic. Don't burst our bubble.
Don't sit in one of those.
Thank you, Mark, appreciate it very much.
Yeah, no problem. You don't mind me just taking a second to give you my opinion about electric markets. You know, one of the main tenets of the electric industry for the past 100 years has been reliability and resiliency. And one of the things to do that was diversity of fuels, coal, nuclear, natural gas, diesel, renewables. And over the course of the past 20 years, predominantly in the last 5 years, we've had such a shift to natural gas that we're pretty much dependent on one type of fuel. And what I'm impressed by is UAMPS and what they've done in the area of nuclear, because that creates more system reliability for people living in Utah because they have additional diversity in the fuels. So I just wanted to point that out, that is something that you guys have really done a good job with. I mean, I think it's gonna benefit you in the future.
I hope we'll be the council that is congratulated.
All for pat on the back.
Much like we're patting councils of the 60s for the Central Utah Water. That's down here. Even though it's gonna cost us.
It'll cost.
At least we did it. We get some.
There.
Where's water coming from? That's where it comes
Yeah.
Where's it coming from?
You think there'll be any difference?
Mark, is that it?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Council, you have any further discussion?
I don't.
So we're gonna go with the 6 months?
Yeah.
That's what staff is proposing.
Yes. We just need to adopt that resolution.
After the presentation, council discussion, I'm ready for the motion.
I move that we approve the resolution amending the Payson City fee schedule related to power utility rates, outage and power cost adjustment with the addition of Mark's recommendations. To what we already have.
Is that sufficient?
Yep.
Okay, second. Well, you, Council Proscott seconded it. Okay, roll call starting with Council Hyatt.
Yeah.
Council Proscott.
Yes.
Feature.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries. Moving on to number 2, ordinance. Amendment 5.
Mark, you, oh, there we go.
Oh,
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
I'll finish reading this real quickly. Amendments to title 0.04.6.060 conveyance of water rights requirements for development. Travis.
So Mayor and Council, we just wanted to add in a clarification in our water rights ordinance that when the old field area develops, how that water is then handled. So that there's not confusion in going forward with any other development that is in that area, so. That was kind of the gist. If you read it, I can go into more detail, but you know, it's just, we own the water, and when they develop, that water just reverts back to Payson, and they can use it to also count for some of their PI requirements, but they own a right to use a certain part, but we actually own the water.
That's been a long time understanding.
Over the years, it's kind of been lost in the weeds.
Or Dave.
This,
But yeah.
this was more, remember the late 80s, we dealt with this?
Yep.
What a bloodbath.
There's a lot of documents to read, just.
Yeah. That old decree is a good one to read.
Yep.
Okay, unless there's more discussion with council, I'm ready for a.
I make the motion that we approve, title 4.04.060 conveying of water right requirements for development.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote starting with Council Christensen.
Yes.
Beecher.
Yes.
Council Proscott. Yes. and Council Hyatt. Thank you. Number 3. Ordinance amendments to the Payson City Development Guidelines. Promise you're up again.
Yes, I am. So, the development guidelines, we updated a lot of the power, drawings and standards in there, just so they, looked the same as all the rest of them, and then just updated some stuff that might have been, wrong in them, but we worked with Brad and got those updated, and then we updated the, I'll call it the cross section for the curb gutter sidewalk planter strip, so that we were more at the water wise, like you guys have already approved. And then we updated a couple of text parts to meet with some of the state codes requirements that have changed, like the road width going down to 32 feet of asphalt and just some of those minor things. But that's kind of just the stuff that we updated in there for this to go around. So
You comfortable with it?
yes,
I've read it. I just want to.
it was exciting, wasn't it?
That we blame Brad.
Super exciting.
Okay, wonderful. Any other comments?
All the staff can enforce it. I'm good for it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm open for a motion.
Move we approve an ordinance amending the filling and enacting. Payson City Code. Payson City.
Oh, yeah, let's see if he's quick.
As outlined.
Second.
I'll second down.
Okay, we have more than seconded. Roll call vote. Council Hyatt.
Yeah.
Proscott.
Yes.
Beecher.
Yes.
Yes. Moving on to number 2, resolution. Nuance agreement authorizing the steel solar 1A project second amended to restated transaction schedule.
That's a mouthful.
Mayor, council, what it basically is in a nutshell is we signed up for a portion of this solar. I kind of thought it was gonna go away, then it came back, but it's coming on the grid this fall. I believe November, right?
November 23rd.
November 23rd. And so this agreement gives us 4 megawatts of power,
Thanksgiving.
During the day.
for the solar. Yep.
Where the sun shines.
Wait, at least when the sun shines.
Portfolio.
It's just part of our portfolio. We'll have some solar as part of it. It's good to diversify, but we're in need of resource and this will help us out.
Green bond license deal agreement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything else, Brad?
No, I think that covered it. We're glad that they saved the project because we need it. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. I'm ready for a motion.
Come on, Brad.
Want to do this? I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution for the one agreement authorizing and still solar 1A project second and transaction.
Wow. That's impressive.
That's something.
That was perfect.
You know this. Okay, so we have a second? Okay, we have motion and seconded, roll call vote, Council Christensen.
Yes.
Council Beecher.
Yes.
Council Postcard. Yes. Council Hyatt.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5. Resolution again, UAM's agreement authorizing a geothermal study project.
This was a project for geothermal energy, and this is just in the study phase. We wanted to sign up. If you look in your packet in Exhibit A, it shows the number of cities that are looking at this project and being part of the study. We're into it, 2.5% of the total project. The total project 65 megawatts. We get to it's just under 2 megawatts. Yeah, it's just about 2 megawatts. So we're in the study phase. It doesn't bind us to take the 2 megawatts. They do the study on this and they do their due diligence, make sure it's a good project. And then we can decide if we want to stay in or not. But this is just to be part of the study.
So this geothermal, does that mean we're going to Yellowstone tap something up there?
This one's in, is it in Nevada? I think it's in Nevada.
Come on up.
Nevada.
Well, that's the natural thought process, right? There's lots of it there.
There's like 5 different locations, but this one is the one that's the most prevalent, the best location is in Vitala, Nevada. So that's where they're looking at it. That was a company that proposed and had the best proposal for you apps to start going forward.
Okay, sounds like no brainer.
Like I say, that just the first thing it's green. Going green. Yeah.
We're trying.
Trying.
Still like sorry.
Okay, any other discussion?
And good job, staff. This is impressive.
Yeah, what Brad said, is we want to be in the black, not the red.
Yeah.
So we need more resource and that's what we're working on. That's with the nuclear, but it's not going to be on for several years. So
As soon as maybe 2028.
28.
Solar, thermal probably fast.
Yeah.
But not as.
And then if we get some of our own turbines to increase that, that'll help our resource. We're looking at all angles, but appreciate Brad and the power department getting some of these going.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I move we approve the resolution authorizing the CYRQ geothermal study project agreement between Payson City and UMass.
So moved. Okay, have a second on that motion. Roll call vote. Council Hyatt.
Yeah.
Council Postcard. Yes. Council Beecher.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
I want to second that motion.
Oh, okay, it's that late.
No, I said I move we adjourn.
Oh, okay, I knew that. Okay. Right off.
Anything else?
I wondered if you missed it.
And just,
Yeah,
it's a man's job though. I don't want to push any buttons.
all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, very good.